Hi Joe, I thought I'd do a quick side-by-side of this, the drawing and the photograph, just to take a couple look at things if you wanted to give it another try. Um, when we looked at this, and the one thing that I suspected was that this collar was a little bit too straight across, and when we look here, we can see that it is a gentle curve, and it just tapers to nothing right here and just kind of vanishes in his kind of like neck ruff. It kind of just goes away, and then his ear goes over top of it. So then we get some sequencing. We can see that the ear is in front of the collar, and then we kind of work our way back with curved lines. I was suspecting that there was a more of a definite curved line here coming off of his shoulder, but you can see this like shoulder ruff. There's kind of this bump here that kind of gives us another feeling of roundness as we go back. But the main feeling of roundness, I think, in this picture is going to be right here where Baloo's belly kind of goes up and around, and you get that real feeling of roundness that starts way over here on this side of Wilson's. We'll call it his left leg, and then it goes all the way over here, and it's definitely kind of highlighted by Wilson's other leg as we go over to the other side. And you've got that leg over here. You saw that was an important thing. We have a distance here from his paw to the rug is a little bit wider here, so we need a bigger body for Baloo. One of the things that to help you draw some of these things, I think I did it. I told you a little bit about it in the email about negative space. Negative space is the space that in this picture, we unfortunately it's an oriental rug, so there's lots of details on it. But if you just think about it as the space around the dogs and not all those details, that'll make your brain go crazy. But if we look at this, we have this beautiful curve. It comes down. It's kind of straight here, but then it goes into this curve that slopes down and then slopes back again, and then it comes in and comes down to his ear. And here we're not seeing that curve. You could almost take this as a base and take that curve and go up here and go around, and it could be added in to make this beautiful curve to give more mass to Baloo's body. Another negative space to think about is when the dog lies down, there's just a little sliver of negative space between the legs, and here we have a little bit bigger space between the legs, and that kind of it kind of leaves you feeling like wait, what's happening here? What's going on? And you can't quite put your finger on what's happening. I would say that these legs probably have to go up closer to Wilson, and then be more of a unit together. They're more of a unit. They're closer together. So negative space is the space that's all around these dogs. It almost looks like a Hershey kiss here. So we have this Hershey kiss shape here, and that is a way to think about space that you don't have to think, oh, how do I draw that leg? How do I draw that leg up against it? How does it go? If you draw yourself the Hershey kiss like that raccoon nose that you drew, that automatically gives you the shape of the outside of that leg and the outside of that leg, excuse me. And then we have this shape here. It's kind of like a little tornado. It's kind of slanted on the bottom, but then it kind of goes up and then it comes down. It's very pointy up at the top. And you do have that to an extent. It's a little bit longer here where it should be wider. And if we look at the space, counting this as negative space, this is a very gentle curve, and then it starts curving down, and there's a pointy place right there, and then it goes into his nose. And so this probably should have been a little bit more of a curve that goes up instead of straight across. I would say what you did on Wilson, I'd say he's pretty accurate. You've got the curve of the back and the curve of the back. You've got this space here to show the space here on the side of his head. A little bit more maybe on the shoulder. They have this, if you kind of look at this triangle shape, we kind of have this triangle of coming from about the tip of his head, I guess. At the very top, it kind of angles down and angles down. It's very much of a big angle shape. And here we kind of have, probably could have used a little more shoulder space for Wilson back there on that. So those are the things I noticed. If you start looking at the negative space instead of trying to figure out if you're getting the dogs right, see if you get the negative space right. This comes down and it kind of just very gradually goes up a little hill, and here we have more of a steep hill. You did get that angle in there. You saw that angle and you knew it came down. It just had to come out more and come down. So if you look at, not at the shape of his back, but look at the shape of where the rug is. Look at the shape of where the rug is. And look at the shape of where the rug is there. And the shape of the rug there. That's kind of like drawing everything that's not the dog. And then that'll kind of help you get everything settled in there. Once again, when you're drawing to see if everything is lined up, if you were to start right here and draw a line that goes straight up, 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 as far as I can tell, it's straight as you kind of hit that back end of his leg, and you end up right at the top of his butt right there. So if we come up here, we can see we're more up on his shoulder. So checking to see how things are lined up with each other in the photograph, that's part of what we kind of talked about with that other portrait you'd done of Balou, where kind of see where things connect. If I would draw a line down here, you know, my eye might go down here and then it might continue down here, and say, okay, I draw that, and then the line kind of continues there, and then kind of check that with the negative space. See what's in line with what. So maybe follow his muzzle and the curve of his head right here. And where does that curve lead you to? Well, it kind of leads you to his back here. So it's a combination of seeing where everything is related to everything else, and then also looking at the negative space to see where everything goes. I would say also that his chest, it comes up and then it angles over because they have this deep chest, the labs usually do. So we've got a little bit of it showing here, but it probably could go a little bit more. So watch to see how things line up with other things, how far distances are compared to other things. The width of his paw is much smaller than the width of his butt back here, and here we have them about even. So one really, really good trick is, as you're drawing, if you can turn this upside down and then turn this upside down or sideways or any other angle but right side up, you'll be shocked to see, and especially at an upside down one, you'll be shocked to see how clear it is to see how things are lined up with each other, or where you may need to line them up a little better. So that's just one thing about this one. I'm glad you sent the photograph because it's easy to see then. And again, the main things to get a rounder feeling here is this rounded collar, this real little ruff around his neck, which even extends into the negative space here. And then just ever so slightly, you can see some kind of hints of shadows and shading all the way back. And that really gives you the feeling for more of a 3D picture. And this gentle curve going up in the negative space and then heading back up almost perfectly vertically right there. And actually you did get that, it just needed to be out a little bit more. Okay, so that's kind of how that worked out. Hope this helps. Thanks, Joey. Toodaloo.